settled informally and awarded, knowing fully well that it is a lake bed. Several examples can be cited. Now you're going to have to reduce to the tune of 208 billion pesos. There was a metro plan in the 70s, but out of 327 recommendations, only one was followed, and that was the LRT, and they changed the lines. There was the construction of a Mangahan floodway, which is supposed to drain water from the Marikina area into Laguna de Bay, but the corresponding measure that was supposed to have been done alongside that, the construction of a Parañaque spillway, because right now there is only one way for water from Laguna de Bay to drain to Manila Bay, and that is the overloaded Pasig River. So these things have to be redone. It costs a lot of money. Sadly too, safer does not necessarily mean cheaper. Sometimes it means more expensive things. The model would be, in terms of adaptation, to live with the disasters. And the perfect example would be Candaba in Pampanga, where houses in flood-prone areas are really built on tall stilts. And during flood times, when the Candaba swamp is flooded, the bancas can go straight to the living rooms. Flood times, people make a lot of money through built-in fish areas. It's not flood, they plant rice on fertile soil, and when it doesn't really rain, they plant watermelons. So they have adapted, but that's the exception rather than the rule. So there are also other structural measures that need to be done. Number one is the creation of the new Philippine Disaster Risk Management Agency rather than the NBCC. Number two is to change the paradigm, because under the NBCC law, the local government units are the first and primary responders to any calamity. That's the law. However, we realize that there are two limitations. Number one, the different capacities of the different local government agencies. And number two, the fact that when a disaster strikes a local government area, it immediately becomes incapacitated too. So you have to have a national backbone. The problem with the national backbone is, what is the proper agency? To me, the armed forces can give help, but it is not the proper agency. Why? Because the equipment that you use for disasters are not normally equipment that you would use for military purposes. For example, rubber boats. We don't use that. It could easily be punctured, and we don't use that for our operations. The problem is our acquisition process in the armed forces is covered by what we call the modernization law. All that we can purchase is funded by what we call the modernization law and base proceeds from bases development. And what we can buy is embodied on a list called the several reprioritized lists. That is also approved by Congress. Outside that, we can't buy anything. The shanties over waterways. Why? It's a hazard. It's a hazard to children who are born there. It's a hazard to health. You have to relocate them. Now, will they take a hit? Naturally, because it's an uncertainty once again. If you relocate them, can they have a life? Will they come back? There are some communities, to me, offhand, without the benefit of scientific study, Marikina, perhaps even in Taguig, that will have to go. Because they're extremely vulnerable, and you have middle-class houses in there. And people probably finance these houses with life savings and have just probably finished the mortgage. But it's unacceptable. You cannot afford the type of infrastructure to protect these communities, cost-benefit-wise. So, you can have the best laid plans, but the devil is in the implementation. And it takes a good politician to implement something as fast as that.
Thank you, Ken.
I certainly have the edge because I was in the plugins, often, and I've faced wrath before, even though it wasn't my fault.
Okay, Jane.